Hello and welcome to another episode of The Standings, where we review the sports standings except we're sitting. I'm Daniel. I'm of course joined by Morgan today. How are we?
I'm doing so great today. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Let's jump right into our first topic, that being Nuggets and Clippers. This series is all tied up. My question to you is, what can the Clippers or the Nuggets do to win this series? It's so close right now.
It is such an entertaining series, and I really wasn't expecting this from the start, especially with all those firings coming in. But I want to first look at the Nuggets. The thing that the Nuggets have to do, obviously, is step up on the defense. With Kawhi Leonard stepping up and with James Harden playing well, the Nuggets need to adapt to covering these two. And let's look at Jokic here. Jokic needs to score, but he cannot be overworked. I mean, this man is coaching. This man is playing. This man is on the court. He is everywhere. You're relying way too much on Jokic. And there needs to be some more even gameplay within all these players. Like Michael Porter Jr., you need to step it up. Aaron Gordon, you need to step it up. Yes, you had that crazy buzzer beater the other day, but it does not matter. This needs to be happening all around for the Nuggets. And they need to find a way to make sure the Clippers do not score when Jokic is on the court. If they want to really dominate this series and have the Nuggets move forward, this is what they need to do. And I'm pretty sure Dan's going to bring up this issue because he brings it up every single time with the Nuggets. They need to shoot threes. So that's what's going on with the Nuggets here. But when we're looking on the Clippers really need to rely on the one person who keeps getting around the Nuggets, and that is James Harden. James Harden is there. He keeps going to the left and shooting and scoring, and that is what keeps the Clippers in control. And the Clippers are usually in control of the pace of the game, so they need to be able to slow it down when they need to and then pick up the pace when they see that the Nuggets are getting tired there. And they could easily get through the Nuggets defense. There's nothing really going on there, and that's kind of an issue. But Zubac is keeping Jokic on his toes. It's such a great matchup between those two, and he is exposing elements on the Nuggets team that helps the Clippers keep winning. And the Clippers just have a stronger defense than the Nuggets have, but this series is a lot closer than it should be, in my opinion.
The Nuggets have the X factor. They have Nikola Jokic, and you kind of stole my thunder. Yes, the Nuggets need to shoot threes. They need to shoot way more threes than they are because they are a good three-point shooting team. But for the Clippers, on the flip side of that is guard the perimeter. Continue to guard it because that's how the Nuggets get back in the series. As soon as they get hot from beyond the arc, that's when it changes. That was just a ridiculous buzzer beater. I'm not sure if that even should have counted. I'm one that will say that did not get through in time. Aaron Gordon should not have had that basket. That game should have went to overtime. That is just crazy to me how the Nuggets have won these games that they've won, because one went to overtime and then this was won off of Jokic having a bad shot. It was just completely a bad shot, and it wasn't even an open shot. You got to get it to a different guy or something, because what is that? The Nuggets are barely hanging on to the series. The Clippers, they can't do much more. Like you said, James Harden is playing at an elite level like we've never seen before. Somebody like Kawhi has got to step it up. We need another 39-point game where we really thought he was returning to form, and now he's just getting those 20 points a game. It's not good enough for the Clippers. They are playing good on defense. They have their role players playing their roles. The Nuggets are getting away with these games like we've never seen before. This series is the best series out of all of them that you can watch. It's the one that no one's talking about. You need to watch it because the team that advances is going to play the Oklahoma City Thunder. And whoever that team is going to put up a good match against them. There's mismatches for everything that's there. What do you think?
See, I don't know how these teams are going to compare to the Oklahoma City Thunder because it is such like a weird dynamic going on. Yes, the Clippers have this complete team, but the Nuggets are just like so weird and interesting. They're like, I don't really know what's going on here, but I do think that buzzer beater got in. I'm like going against you on that one. It was a split second, but I see that going in.
I think another thing is Michael Porter Jr., if he just plays a little bit better, the Nuggets become that much better in this series. Even Jamal Murray as well, not playing at the playoff Jamal Murray that we saw when we were in the bubble, when they won the championship. That needs to be better. And like you said about the defense, they are middling in the league with defense. I'm not sure how this is even a series. It should be 4-0. The Clippers should have moved on, but we'll have to keep track of it as we go along. Let's move on to Lakers T-Wolves. My question to you is, what does it look like for the Lakers right now? And I don't even know. What is going on?
There is a lot going on with the Lakers. Are they good things going on with the Lakers? Not really. They keep putting their faith into this 40-year-old LeBron and this Luka Doncic who just joined the team not too long ago. And even though Luka is performing well, and he really hasn't been in the playoffs that often, Anthony Edwards is just better. He's just performing way better than Luka Doncic is. And Anthony Edwards had this 43-point game with those clutch throws that really just took over in the fourth quarter and allowed this team to win. Last game, he had 9 rebounds, 6 assists, and that momentum just keeps growing with Anthony Edwards, and he's just overtaking the Lakers by himself there. And so the issue with the Lakers is they're a small team. They just cannot keep up with the Timberwolves' physicality. And going back to the Lakers relying on Luka and LeBron, the roster's lacking depth here. I mean, Vanderbilt and Goodwin are just not playing to the playoff caliber as they should be. It's really disappointing to see because earlier in the season we saw them playing pretty well, but now that we're in the playoff territory, the Lakers are falling behind there, and the defense is slacking. This is making it hard for Reeves and Luka. They really just cannot protect themselves there. And the Lakers are getting outscored in the paint and out-rebounded in games. You cannot have that happen if you want to win these games. And the major thing that I think is really ruining the Lakers for this series is the coaching staff. Let's take a quick look at JJ Redick here. Refusing to sub players in the second half. How? How do you expect your players to be able to play in the second half just all the way through? This is insane. This is where the Lakers are falling short. You're seeing your players get tired. It's not worth it. It's not worth keeping your players in. You've seen the rest of the series. Why would you do this to your team? This team has so many weaknesses that they were able to mask in the regular season, but now in the playoff season when they're hitting these 7-game series, they really just can't keep up with it.
JJ Redick said after the game that he never had the notion that he was going to play those starters all throughout that second half. Mm-hmm. JJ Redick, you are a filthy liar. And I know it, because going into that second half, you're in your head saying this is a must-win game. We can't go down 3-1. You definitely had the pre-notion that you were going to play your starters. You at least knew that you were going to play them all throughout the third quarter, because at that point the game's not even near the end. So you have that pre-notion already that you're going to play those starters. We talked about the T-Wolves and how great they are. I think they just have mismatches on the court. Jaden McDaniels, oh my goodness. He is a mismatch for just about every team and really playing that Aaron Gordon type role with the team. He has been phenomenal. Julius Randle has finally got that playoff monkey off of his back. He is shooting lights out. And Anthony Edwards just has the perfect playoff game to cap off yet another victory for the T-Wolves. Although the media might spin this as a Lakers story, it is not a Lakers story. It is the T-Wolves. But if we look at the Lakers, we talked about last time how the Lakers formula was Luka being electric through that first half, and then maybe both LeBron and Luka being electric in that third quarter, and then LeBron taking over in the fourth quarter. LeBron had 0 points in the fourth quarter. That cannot happen for someone who is going to go down as, if not the best player, the second best player we have ever seen. This can't happen for the Lakers, and especially falling 3-1 down in the series. They said, 9 years ago, he was down 3-1. 9 years ago is the key factor of that. When LeBron was 31, he was down 3-1 in the series. He's not that anymore. This is not the same LeBron. As far as looking at the Lakers roster, I totally agree with you. There is no depth, and they just don't have a center. You need a center. Maybe Nico Harrison was right to go out and get AD. It's kind of looking good for him right now because the Lakers don't have a center, and although they're better at scoring, those mismatches of Gobert, Naz Reid, and Jaden McDaniels are killing the Lakers. They cannot get upon it. The T-Wolves defense is one thing that the Lakers haven't been able to break through either. Luka plays all those minutes, and he got 38. Great game, but not the best. He needs to do better beyond this series.
We've seen so much better from Luka, and honestly, we've been following this Timberwolves team all season. I feel like when you're looking at the media, you're not really seeing them talk about the Timberwolves. They're always slightly going under the radar, and I think that's what's happening here, too. It's just like, LeBron lost. No, the Timberwolves won. The Timberwolves are beating the Lakers, and they continue to beat the Lakers. And this is a really great thing for the Timberwolves to keep doing. So I'm excited for them.
The Lakers kind of need a guy like AD. Like I said, they just do. LeBron, you were wrong to go out and get Luka. We're going to head to a commercial break. When we get out of the break, we're going to have Cameron on with us, and we are going to talk about the NFL draft in full depth, and we're going to talk about Knicks Pistons, which I'm sure Cam is excited to do. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, I'm Julia Edmonds, an anchor for Royal Studios. I'm currently behind the scenes of the show you're watching, The Standings. Check me out on Royals Weekly, where I'll tell you all the University of Scranton news. We cover campus events, sports, and performance music. See you there. Now back to The Standings.
Welcome back from the break. Welcome, Cameron. We're going to talk some NFL draft. My question to both of you is, who had the best draft and what was your most surprising move?
So when we're looking at the best draft here, this is going to be a little hard for me to say as a Dolphins fan, but I honestly think the Jets have one of the best drafts out of these teams. So the Jets knew what they needed to draft, and they did it really smart. So they knew they needed to help their offensive line. They knew they needed a tight end, and this is what they did. They went out and they got it. So their first-round pick, the offensive lineman, could be such a great improvement for the Jets long-term. The Jets need that long-term help, and they picked a well-rounded tight end, Mason Taylor from LSU, for the second round. And for their third-round pick here, the team just gained some even more depth with Malachi Moore, who could help in a few different areas on the field. And one thing about the Jets is they are just redoing this whole entire team because, as we saw, they have that brand new quarterback, Justin Fields, ready to take over for the Jets. So this is really exciting to see from the Jets because you don't really know what's going to happen, but notoriously when the Jets make good draft picks, they somehow fail, and then these players end up on a different team and they are just superstars. So that'll be really interesting to see if the Jets can actually make a great team for themselves or if this is going to be a repeat of every other draft that they keep doing.
Well, my team is going to shock you, probably, Daniel, because the whole running back discussion, the Raiders. Ashton Genty at 5 was a little controversial. I'm not a big fan of taking running back that high, but this is a culture-setting draft for the Raiders. They were the 22nd ranked rushing offense in the league last year. And Pete and Chip Kelly, I should say, they're known to run the ball. You know, Pete Carroll, I should say, drafted running backs when they had Chris Carson. And guess what? We're drafting Kenneth Walker. We're going to draft Rashawn Penny. Like, why? And then even Shady McCoy from Chip Kelly. We're going to trade him away and sign DeMarco Murray, who was their leading rusher that year, to be granted. But McCoy was the second leading rusher. They want to run the ball, and they want to run through a person's face. I can't say the other word. And let's see. And then considering Geno is obviously their third-round pick, which is a massive improvement from their horrible quarterback room in Gardner Minshew. And then later in the draft, they're building the trenches. They want to be a smash-mouth, old-school Raiders team.
I love that, and I like the pick because now you potentially have Geno Smith, who's a top 10 quarterback, and you have Ashton Genty, who could be a top 10 running back. I want to go back to the Jets as well. They have a great young core so far, so yes, them getting more draft picks, as a Dolphins fan as well, is not very pleasing. I don't like when they draft well. I'm not sure why they fired the GM that drafted all the young guys they already have. Then they kill this draft. It just baffles my mind that these players will not be able to succeed. They just won't. They're part of the Jets. My team is the Giants. The Giants have Abdul Carter slide to them at 3. Now they have, if not the best D-line in football, they still have a top 5 D-line because they had that last season that will compete within this division. Now you get to quarterbacks like Jaden Daniels, who's elusive, Jalen Hurts, who's also elusive, and Dak Prescott. This is dangerous as a Giants team who's trying to build itself back up. Then they head into the end of the first round. They trade back in to get Jackson Dart. This is important because when you trade back into that first round, these first-round quarterbacks have that fifth-year option. So you have another year to explore before actually spending that money on the quarterback if he is set for your franchise or not. Jackson Dart statistically was a great QB in college, so he should be good in the NFL if everything is right. Then in the third round, they get Darius Alexander to bulk up that D-line even more. They're just killing it on the D-line. I don't know who is going to stop them this season, but We'll have to see. And then they get the steal of the draft. Bowling ball, Cam Scadaboo falls to them in the 4th round. If you saw this guy play, you know he is one of the reasons, if not the reason, that Arizona State won their conference and was in the playoffs. This guy is going to change the team. He's the steal of the draft for me. I want to shift the conversation to Shedeur Sanders. We have to talk about it. I don't like talking about it, but the media wants to cover this. What do we think?
Shedeur is not a 5th-round pick. He should not have fallen as far as he did. Dylan Gabriel going over it, and Tyler Schaub to begin with is egregious. But I'm really interested to say he had an 80% completion percentage in college. You were a Heisman finalist. I get Colorado was really bad his first year, but then they turned it around the next year. I don't see why he fell as far as he did.
And what's really interesting about him is I thought he was going to go to the Browns. Obviously, I thought he was going in the 2nd round, but him falling is just really intriguing. But, you know, I think more for Shedeur Sanders is it's more of a personality thing. A lot of teams and companies now really care about branding and people that they have on the team. They want to make sure they fit the team culture. And we're seeing him being a little bit more arrogant than other players in the draft. And maybe he just doesn't fully belong on any of these teams. And that's what made him fall so far.
I think that's bogus.
Really?
For anything. We had Baker Mayfield plant a flag on somebody, go behind the Cheesecake Factory and do God knows what he did, and then he would grab his crotch and do obscene gestures to the other team. This shouldn't be a character issue. I think it should be more of a Dion issue. And everything he said to Colorado State, flexing on them and all that, that was warranted. They talked an egregious amount of trash to him before that game.
It's absolutely a Dion issue, and it's a Dion issue because he pulled these same antics when he got drafted. Do we remember that he also had his own little draft room and had all his bling on for the draft? This legendary draft room is just preposterous. What I want to say about this is the one thing in my lifetime that I have seen the media be most wrong about. The media, because the NFL clearly does not think that the talent is as much as the media thinks that the talent is there. So now we see Shedeur Sanders slide in the draft, and he wasn't even the first quarterback the Browns selected. What a pitiful organization to go back-to-back picks on quarterbacks. Dylan Gabriel goes first as the Oregon QB, who also was a Heisman finalist. Now you're going to have training camp be all sorts of nonsense with Deshaun Watson, Dylan Gabriel. We have Joe Flacco coming back, and Shedeur Sanders, and I'm forgetting one, Kenny Pickett as well. This is just absurd if you're the Browns. You do not want to do this. This just doesn't make sense at all. The GM clearly did not like this pick at all. You could see it in his reaction, and this was a top 5 prospect, according to Mel Kiper. Mel Kiper, you are so wrong. This is just something that I will not vie for. Shedeur Sanders probably will be a 3rd stringer on the Cleveland Browns.
And they're forced into it. I mean, this was obviously an owner thing, but also Shedeur deserved a chance to start, or at least compete for a starting job. And I guess Cleveland's a good spot for that, but you clearly can't move on from Deshaun Watson right now for how much money he's getting. And Joe Flacco, he led them to the playoffs 2 years ago. This is a egregious move, in my opinion.
It's very confusing, and we'll have to follow them. One thing that I hope is that they are on Hard Knocks at the start of this season, because I just want to see it. I want to see it all unfurl. I want to see Dion, who apparently is saying that he wants to be in on the meeting with the Browns. He wants to hear how they're going to use him. This is absurd. We've never seen it before. What I'll compare it to is LeVar Ball, because that is a great comparison. It's a young, new generation athlete that we get to see blossom. We will have to follow the draft and see where it goes. I want to move on and talk about Knicks Pistons. I'm sure you're excited to talk about this as your team takes a 3-1 series lead. My question to both of you is, were the Pistons robbed of tying the series, and what does this do for the Knicks?
So I'm going to say the Pistons were robbed of having the opportunity to tie the series. Do we know if they would fully make it? Maybe, maybe not. But I mean, everybody saw that Tim Hardaway Jr. was fouled on that 3-point attempt there, and it just did not get called. During the game, it was decided that Josh Hart made a perfectly legal defensive move there, but many people disagreed with this. So what I think the worst part about this is after the game when the officials said that, oh, that should have been a call. No, you stick to your guns and you do not do that. Yes, you could fully take accountability. Oh, I messed up. But when it is this dire in the game to make these calls, to admit that you messed up really messes with the Pistons. It messes with the Knicks. How do they know that they could trust you going into the forward with these playoff games. It's just really interesting to see there. And yes, many people can argue that the officials were not making these calls the entire game, so why call it now? And yes, I think that it is important to have consistent calls throughout the games. So if you're going to make consistent calls, keep doing it, but you cannot take it back after the game is over and be like, we should have called that, and then that could really help the Pistons in the end. So I think it's just an official issue there.
Honestly, you are Detroit Pistons. What are you most known for? Maybe, the bad boy Pistons. Why are we complaining about a soft call when this is one of the most physical series that we have in basketball so far? This no call is egregious. The Knicks got screwed last year when Tyrese Maxey clearly traveled, and they admitted they were wrong. These refs admitting they're wrong is stupid because every fan base and every organization has been complaining about calls and soft calls, flopping, whatever. I think it's ridiculous. And then even the official Detroit Pistons account tweeting about this no call. Have some class. At least take it on the chin and go punch us in the mouth the next game. This is ridiculous. The series would have been tied. Cool. You weren't going to win the series. It's ridiculous. You had a 93% win probability going into those last 10 seconds for those back-to-back threes. Like, what are you doing? It is ridiculous.
Those cat daggers are really overlooked in this game by the end of that game. That was ridiculous, those shots. What I want to say to both of you is not only did the officials come out and admit that they were wrong, but Josh Hart went in his interview and just said, yeah, I fouled him, but it didn't get called. Josh Hart admitting that is absurd. It clearly was a foul, but now the Pistons, they shouldn't have let this game even be close as it was. If you want to win the series, you don't let every game come down to the last second. And as the Knicks, going forward, this is a very good win. Are your guys tired? Maybe, and that's why these games are so close. But if you get out of this series in the same amount of games as the Celtics do with the Magic, now all of a sudden you have the same rest, and this could be momentum heading in.
Also, Cade, Brunson has 33 points per game and was the Kia most clutch player of the year. Cade, let's look at your points per game, like 28, 25, like... Maybe you should step it up a little bit as well. Maybe that will help you guys. We won by like 1. Maybe if you got like an extra field goal, you maybe would have won the game or even sent it to overtime.
I think that Cade is doing a lot of what he should for the team. I know he could probably do more. The same way we're asking Luka to do more for the Lakers. It's just, you're the star. You need to do more. Cade's doing what he can. I think it's the other guys that need to step up. Maybe Jalen Duren, Tobias Harris especially was a big pickup for them that needs to start knocking down shots. You cannot rely on what we've been saying, like Dennis Schroeder coming off the bench in this series.
And what I see here is something that's very similar to what's going on in the West, what you're seeing with the Nuggets Clippers. All these games are getting super close down to the wire. I mean, the Nuggets and Clippers are going into overtime. So what is it about these games that are just making them so close that these other teams aren't doing? Like, you're looking at Pacers Bucks, they're usually 20-point differences there, and it's just insane to see.
And although we criticize Tom Thibodeau for playing his guys for all the minutes that he does, they have been able to take the 3-1 leap in this series, which is something that the Lakers haven't against the T-Wolves. It's clear that this coaching is working for this team that is young, and we have to see what the Knicks can do with that. Are they going to run out of gas in that second round? Are they going to match up with the Celtics nicely? It looks good for the Knicks winning these close games because we see that they're able to close out games. That's the only positive we can see here. And now, with the series headed back to New York, it's still in New York, this is going to be very interesting. They need to close out this series, and they need to close it out now. We will have to follow that, but Cameron, thank you for being on. We will hope to see you soon. And Morgan, thank you for being on as well. In our next block, we will have a new anchor joining me, and we're going to talk NHL for a bit. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, it's Ava, an anchor for Royal Studios. I'm currently behind the scenes of the show you're watching, The Standings. Check me out on Scranton Scope, where I'll tell you the latest news in the Scranton community and how you can get involved. For events in our area and sports, you should check out the experts talk on all things pop culture. Scope has everything you're looking for. See you there. Now back to The Standings.
Welcome back from the break. I have Elizabeth, who has joined us to be a new anchor and talk NHL. Welcome.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm happy to be here today.
Yeah, let's move right into Kings Oilers. I stayed up for this game. It was absolutely phenomenal. My question to you is, how dangerous are the Oilers moving forward?
Yeah, Daniel, that's a good question. I would say after last night that the Oilers are a tough opponent in this series. They are known for their explosive offense, and also their power play is known as one of the best in the league. I think another important thing about the Oilers is that they can rally. We've seen that they can make a comeback, specifically in their Game 4 victory last night, where they put themselves tied now with the Kings 2-2. You can see that they have fight and that their players come to play. So I think that the Kings have to watch out for the Oilers. They could definitely give them a run for their money in this series.
The good news for the Kings is that it heads back to LA for Game 5, and you get 2 out of 3 in your home for the series. The thing about this is, and you talked about the power play, the difference in the power play for the Oilers. They were 0 for 5 in games 1 and 2, and now games 3 and 4, they're 4 for 5. So you get that power play in overtime after Darcy Kemper makes 19 overtime saves before finally giving one up. I was watching that and I was just appalled. He is such an athlete and he is not the reason that the Oilers won this game. It is all on that Kings defense and translating to the offense, which was non-existent in that period. Also, the Edmonton crowd is electric. We see it and it's unlike no other. I compared it to when the Phillies play in the playoffs, that crowd in Edmonton and all across Canadian hockey in general, they really give a boost to whoever the home team is. So it's dangerous, and it might become a must-win in Game 6 if the Oilers are able to steal another one. And when you're headed back to Edmonton, I would feel very confident if I were the Oilers with Draisaitl and Connor McDavid playing as well as they did. They combined for 6 assists on the game. The Oilers are just so dangerous.
Yeah, I agree, Daniel. I would say the Kings really have to watch out. They have to play on their strengths, their ability to neutralize the Oilers' offense and kind of capitalize on their defensive errors. So the Kings, they need to prove their strength and watch out for the Oilers for sure.
With a series headed back to LA, this team is more dangerous than ever. And we've seen the comeback kids on the Oilers before. They've done this before, and they will prove to do it again. I think they take the rest of this series. What about you?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm leaning towards the Oilers, and I love an underdog, so I'm seeing that the Oilers are definitely going to be a tough opponent in this series.
They definitely will, and we will have to keep track of them as the games go on. They are very interesting because they have 2 of the best players in the world. Let's move into our next topic, that being the Jets and the Blues. And my question to you is, what is going on with the Winnipeg Jets? I usually like asking what's going on with the Jets in the NFL because I'm a Dolphins fan, but now we translate it to the NHL. What is going on with these Winnipeg Jets who are the regular season champs?
Yeah, I would say right now the Winnipeg Jets, they are struggling. You can see with Hellebuck getting pulled from the 3rd game of the series after allowing 6 goals on 25 shots. You could see the tensions between fans right now, chanting that they want Connor back. I think that the Jets are definitely struggling in this moment, and they're not doing well, especially it's a battle between the goalies at the moment.
Yeah, Hellebuck really giving up 11 goals on 39 shots. That is just absurd. You are not allowed to do that after you were first in nearly every statistic as a goalie in the season. That cannot happen, and this has happened before in the playoffs. The verdict's out that Connor Hellebuck is a playoff flop. To get back in this series, I think he needs to stay in net. Keep his confidence going forward, stay in net. But this is confusing because the Jets were so good in the regular season, and we've seen how they can perform. But the Blues have showed to be playoff riders with Jordan Binnington playing very good, and now the Blues are hot in this series. The Jets are really up against the wall, and what can we say really about this Jets team? What should they do? Because Kyle Connor is playing one of the best series where he's getting those opportunities at the net. This Jets team is just very confusing, and it's not the first time we've been saying this in the playoffs.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, the Blues goalie Binghamton, he's a strong goalie. He has led the Blues to a success before, and I would say right now the tensions between teams and from fans, this is definitely going to be a matchup that comes down to the goalies, and it's going to be a battle.
There should never be a 1 seed that is giving up as many goals as they're giving up and falling behind in the first playoff series because now you move on and you might have to play the Stars or Avalanche, who look very good. So if we're projecting, you're not going to get out of this series in time. The good news for them is the Stars and Avalanche are stuck at a tie at 2-2 as well. But if they can't get out of this series, this is dangerous. And it's waters that you really do not want to tread going forward if you're the Winnipeg Jets. You were supposed to get out of this series. This Blues team was not even supposed to make the playoffs in general. So we'll have to keep up with these games. We will have more on Friday for the audience. I want to thank you for being on today, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Daniel, for having me. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
That's it for the standings. We will see you next time.
Thank you for watching the standings.
Check out other Royal Studios content like Royals Weekly and Scranton Scope.
Tune in next time.
See you next week.